Hi everyone, Skytwiz here again today. Another unboxing video. This time, as you can see, it's Battletech Alpha Strike by Catalyst Games Labs. So if anyone doesn't know, Battletech, it's been around for, at least the 80s, possibly late 70s, but I think it's in the 80s, early to mid 80s. It's a miniature war game, and it involves mechs. Some people will also have heard of MechWarrior, possibly. MechWarrior and Battletech are almost interchangeable. MechWarrior nowadays is the role-playing version of it, whereas Battletech is the miniatures. So anyone who's heard of Warhammer 40,000, Warhammer Fantasy Battle from Games Workshop, this is sort of along those lines. It tends to be a little bit smaller battles, and instead of using large armies of men or different species such as orcs and elves, this uses mechs. Big, hulking, heavy, human controlled, almost battle robots. Not exactly robots, but yeah, fighting vehicles that look roughly humanoid. So I said, Battletech's been around for quite a few years. I can't remember. I want to say West End Games, but I don't think it was. For the life of me at the moment, my mind's gone blank. I can't remember who originally came out with Battletech. But Catalysts have had it now for quite a number of years. I believe they did a Kickstarter to bring it all back, because it disappeared off the gaming scene for a little while. But it is gaining in popularity now. One of the issues is, because it's not a big company, Catalyst as such, they haven't got the marketing power of Games Workshop. So they're not in the stores, they're not as easy to find. I got this one when I went to Salute this year. And just because I wanted to try it out. So let's get and have a look at it. Let's open up the box and see what we get. This is almost like a starter pack. God, it's tight. So first of all, we've got a booklet. No idea what this is. Oh, okay. This is a very short story book then. Obviously set in the Battletech world. There are actually Battletech novels for anyone who's interested in reading about it. They are out there. I believe there's like 100 books of them. Right, we've got this insert tray, which has, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13 of the actual mechs. We'll take a look at those a little bit later on. I'll put them to one side for now. Cool. And some cards. Now, first booklet we've got is a primer. So Battletech primer. This will be about the history of Battletech. So if I remember my history from this, it started on Earth. There's a big expansion. Yeah, humanity went out into space. At some point, contact was lost with the Earth. Then it was remade, and all sorts of different empires and that came out. Now, depending on which version of the Battletech universe, the old or the new, different things have happened. We've got these houses or clans that are controlling different sectors, different spheres, different areas of the universe. So this is just giving you a quick insight into some names of the major houses. Then a bit about you can play as mercenaries. Then you've got the actual clans. Now, there is another version of Battletech called, I think it's Battletech Clans. It focuses mainly on these clans. And there are several variants of Battletech actually out there. So that's the primer. So this is Alpha Strike, quick start rulebook. Now, Alpha Strike differs from the main Battletech game in the fact that this is supposed to be quicker to play. rules are, I don't want to say simplified, but made easier to make the game quicker and easier for people to get into. So this is the rule book for this. It looks really sort of nice. Now, as I understand it, each of the mechs here, instead of having a big sort of character roster sheet, these all come with cards instead and with fewer things to track on them. On the main Battletech game, these are A4 rosters. You track every single hit as a hard point or hit point on the actual mech. You track the heat, you track your damage. Damage has an effect on movement and everything else. In this one, to make it quicker, there's less heat to track. There's less things on the card and it keeps it on a nice small card. So here we've got some of your mechs. This is the inner sphere. So we've got a Locust, Wasp, Blackjack, Phoenix Hawk, Atlas. Now Atlas is one that I think a lot of people have heard of if they've ever come across Battletech before. Archer and Wraith. Then we've got the clan ones. So Timberwolf. That's another one that I think most people have heard of. Firemoth, Pouncer, Nova and Warhawk. How to start preparing to play. So covering terrain and layout. Now another thing that's different about this version of Battletech is on the full version, the main version most people are probably familiar with, is played on a hex map. So large maps, instead of squares, it's hexagonal shapes, and you measure each hexagonal shape for movement. Here, this is more like, for those of you that are familiar with Warhammer 40k, it's on an open tabletop where you put your terrain down and you measure things using the rule or tape measure. Still involves dice, however I believe this is only D6s, it doesn't involve any sort of D10s, D4s or anything in between. So it's trying to make it accessible to most people. People who haven't played games before, maybe. Some really nice artwork in here. It seems to be laid out quite nicely. Some bits on buildings, support. And then it's got a scenario for you to play in the back, which is obviously to help out learn the rules. Advice on how to build your forces. Various different roles, formations, and then nice advert for Battletech in the back. Alpha Strike Commanders Edition. This takes basically this rule book and expands on it in even more detail, I believe. So that's the rule book. Then we have these, which are supposed to be, I believe, yep, foldable buildings. So this is your terrain. So just folds down to give you buildings of various heights and styles. There's quite a bit of it here actually. There's some smaller ones. So it's nice having some cardboard terrain. Just helps you get going. There's quite a lot of it. A lot of it seems to be the same type of thing. Just high-rise buildings, office blocks and that. Yeah, very similar shapes. But obviously, because these are mechs, I suppose it's got to be high terrain to block line of sight. There's maybe some bits that aren't quite as tall as the mechs, but most of it looks to be, yeah, it's all fairly similar. Same shape, just different images on it. So there's quite a lot of that there. Then what else have we got? Okay, a nice hard, what I'd call a cheat sheet. So it's got all the critical things you need to know for your dice rolls. buildings and that. I was understanding this is played on an initiative base. So you roll for initiative at the start. The player with the highest initiative goes last to get the advantage. Oh, these are some trees, look. So pop out, punch out, and slot together to make different trees. A couple of tokens. This is quite a thick card. Some tokens, objective markers. This looks like some sort of explosion marker, probably for when the mechs go up. So, not too bad. Let's put that to one side. Let's get a look at these cards. So this is played with various cards. Let's see what they are. So, all these are nice quality cards. That just looks like a rule one. Battlefield support. Obviously, I've not played a game yet. I've not read the rules, so I don't know what the cards are for. But looking at this slide, say you can call these things in to give you an advantage, or just help destroy the enemy. Artillery support. Could be just the points cost in the top corner. So there's two sets there. All called battlefield support, but one is definitely artillery support. One is airspace support. Quite a nice, nice quality cards. Support rules as well for them. I bet they won't go back in there though. No. Come on. You know you want to. That's on it. Okay, we've got another two sets of cards here. Let's see what these ones are. No idea what these are. These are named. Well, looks like maybe the names of the pilots. Yeah, it looks like there's two lots of names on each side. So we've got various ones. A picture of the mech, so I am going to assume that these are like pilot cards. So to give you your stats, who they're with, their abilities. Okay, let's put them on one side. And then the actual, two dice. Got plenty of D6s, so I'm not too worried about them. This one doesn't want to open. Almost had it. There we go. So these are the actual cards now for the mechs. So I said in the full version of Battletech, it's an A4, almost like a character sheet for each mech to track your hits and your heats and everything else. But Alpha Strike makes it simpler. You've basically got a card with different variations of the same mech on. So we've got a Wasp, we've got the Locust, and Blackjack. And these are really nice quality cards. They don't feel too cheap. Nice and glossy, so they might be a bit too reflective on the camera there. But yeah, definitely one for every mech. Yeah. Okay, so that's the cards. Put them back in the tray. Let's have a look at the mech, shall we? Let's get a couple of these out. So these are hard plastic. They are pre-molded and assembled, but they are unpainted. So you can paint them into any colour you like, any of the factions. However, you can't change the weapon loadouts on these. You can't change their positioning. So unless you're a skilled modeler, you're not going to be able to adjust their sort of stance and positioning. So they do look fairly nice and detailed. I can't see any. Let's pick up the Timberwolf. So that's probably one that most people are familiar with, Timberwolf. But yeah, there's not very many. There's hardly any mould lines that I can see on these. They do look really crisp. It's got a little bit of a flash on the back there, but very, very minimal flashing. And the fact you've got this in a tray means if you keep them in the box, this is going to keep them all together, keep them nice and tidy. Now, while these are 13 are including this box set, you can go out and buy, obviously, expansion boxes, just like you would do with Warhammer. And normally you get about, 4 to 6 mechs in each expansion. But they can be used with either Alpha Strike or the full Battletech rulebooks. There's a whole host of background material out there. There's a whole host of support material, as in clan books and scenarios and all sorts of things that you can get. This, as it stands, isn't exactly cheap, I would say. However, relative to, say, something like 40k to get you started, this was about, I think, £60, which I haven't played. Oh God, I haven't played Warhammer 40k now for 15-20 years. However, I do know that Games Workshop has got really, really expensive. I feel that they are actually overpriced these days from what I've seen. I know my son still collects them. He doesn't play. He has started with Battletech. So one of the reasons why I wanted to get this. And he's got quite a lot of 40k miniatures, but I think the Battletech ones are comparable, if not a little bit cheaper than the 40k stuff. I think the issue is going to be with most people is finding someone else to play with. If there's a gaming club, great, you might be able to persuade someone to join in a game, which is why something like this Alpha Strike box, it's got 2 sides to it, so you can buy this, and between the 2 of you, you can get a game going. And because this is, like I said, easy rules, not necessarily simplified, but it's easier for faster play, it's that getting the initial hook into someone, getting them to realise that there is things out there other than Warhammer 40k or fantasy, and maybe having something that's a bit faster to play will interest them. It's just a shame, as I said, that this isn't quite as widely available everywhere. I know when we went to Salute, I think we saw one stand where, I mean, we've been now, what, 3 years in a row? It's the same stand has this on. We bought this. My son bought some bits for him, and we were there when it opened. We went back about an hour and a half later, and they were almost totally wiped out of all their Battletech stuff. So when it is in a store or at a show, it goes quickly. It literally does fly off the shelf. It's hard to keep it in stock. I know you can get it on Amazon, but again, Amazon seems to have limited amount of these box sets. They do quite a few of the mech packs, the battle packs, or whatever they're called, but the actual starting games, there don't seem to be quite so many of them around. Anyway, that's it. That's just the quick unboxing. I'll say quick, but it's probably taken about 15-20 minutes. But yeah, it's an unboxing of Battletech Alpha Strike. I didn't show you the back, I suppose. What will show you the back of that? I see here, American, $80. I say it's about £60 over here in the UK. But is it worth it? I think so. I think if you want to get into a game, it's worth it compared to Games Workshop stuff. Anyway, that's it. That's the Alpha Strike box, and that's Sky Twist saying, see you later.